Hello, my name is Tim Fugate. I'm the Chief Operations Officer of BLI Contract Security. Today I want to discuss tourism, resorts, and employee background checks. I decided to do a video of a case I was involved in a few months ago. It was a very fast case, but a simple case that took me just a few hours to unravel. I had a friend call me who owns a security firm. He told me about how he was on the brink of losing this security contract that he had had for just a few short months at a hotel because of a rash of break-ins and thefts. The first thing I asked him was, how far into the investigation was you? And he told me that he was not doing one and the police had no leads. I'll be the first to tell you that all good security companies have an investigations firm in some shape or form, be they an in-house investigator or an investigations firm that they contract out to. A majority of times, you will want to have an experienced investigator on staff when you secure properties that affect a large number of guests, be they tourist or gambling locations, or even security for fulfillment centers such as Amazon, Walmart, or any other company which hires seasonal or occasional employees sent in from employment agencies that take up slack during holidays. Criminals seem to think that because people are tourists, that investigations will not go far, which is true to an extent. But a good security firm will investigate it no matter if it's one theft or many thefts. This video will touch a little bit on resorts and casino security, as they are also high-profile targets for theft rings, especially here along the coast or anywhere that they have a large number of tourists. Just a little background on this case. Chris contacted me and explained he had a hotel account which he got because another security firm lost it after a rash of break-ins and thefts that no one could figure out. In this particular case, I believe it was above maybe 15 to 20,000 within 3 months. So after obtaining some information on the old security company, I contacted them and realized in 2 minutes they did not look into these cases either. And the gentleman told me that they did not feel it was their job to do any investigations, and me being the smart ass which I am, I asked him how that worked out for him because they had lost the account and hung up on it. So when we talk about security, we are in the business to know who, what, when, where, how, and why. These are just straightforward questions any good security or investigator will know. If you believe for 1 minute that those questions you do not need to worry about, I can honestly tell you 2 things. 1, you need to send me your client list and let me take over your contracts. 2, you need to get out of this business because those questions are the very least you as a security company should know. I'll be honest, it does not take a rocket scientist to investigate crimes by following simple investigative techniques. If you, as a security officer, are able to watch YouTube, even you can get the simple ground rules for not only chain of custody of evidence, but also investigations. There's a few good things that any good security officer doing their job should know. 1 is who. You want to know who was involved, and that usually starts with the victim. And then you work your way onto who the offender was. What? What happened is self-explanatory. Were they robbed at gunpoint? Was the room broken into? It's self-explanatory. 3, when. When did this happen? You want a timeline. You want dates. You want times. You also want to know a timeline of events throughout the day. Where? Where did it occur? You want to know not only the property address, but you want to know the exact location on the property that was stolen. If it was by a fence, you want to diagram the fence, the area. If it was a vehicle, you want to diagram where the vehicle was on the property. You just don't want to give an address and say it happened at 123 Main Street. It does not help any investigator. It could be a large property. How? How did it happen? Was it something that was just picked up because a client left it out? Did they break in to get whatever they stole? Did they plan the break-in? And if so, how detailed did they get on your security measures? If you have an officer that does a foot patrol, and during that foot patrol, all the break-ins happen, and you're changing your times on these foot patrols, any good security company is not going to tell their guard, hey, every hour on the hour, do a foot patrol. It does not work that way, especially when you want it to secure the property 100%. You want your guards to think outside of the box and do what they're trained to do. All of this will lead to number 6. Why? Why did it happen? Was it because of your security measures in place? Was it random? Was it a one-time occurrence? Or has small thefts led up to a bigger theft? If you have a new security employee who can't even fill in those blanks, your firm really has no place in this field. So that night, I started with simple questions which started to fill in what happened. Not only did Chris get the account just a few short months ago, but also found this has been happening for the past year or so. During the start of the investigation, I quickly realized there was a pattern, which was the vehicles being broken into which were not in the line of sight of camera systems. But also the rooms that was being broken into, no cameras caught video of anyone entering or leaving. So that right there tells me, and it's a tall tale sign, it has something to do with a current or a former employee. Now, because I was not physically there, I called and talked with the hotel manager, and I explained to him I was helping Chris on the investigation and got some basic information such as exactly when these thefts started. It was almost 1 year, and found out that the hotel has been losing clients because of this. Now, it's a fact that bad reviews on social media cause businesses to decline. For all businesses, be they hotels, shopping centers, even apartment complexes, if a rash of thefts, robberies, break-ins are being talked about in reviews, or people report they was robbed or broken into, people will not visit these sites. More so with shopping centers and apartment complexes. Nobody wants to go to a crime area. So I had the manager email me every police report that they had on every case, and I had him send me, and lo and behold, another pattern emerged. I asked the manager to send me a list of employees who worked for them currently, which is where I started my background investigations, and bam, some of the court records smacked me in the head like a brick. And before I even called the hotel back, I knew who to dig more into. Not only was one employee previously arrested for accessory to breaking and entering, but also had an employee theft charge pending. So after about an hour and a half, I had my first lead, and when I called the manager back, I asked for only that one employee's work schedule, and every single theft was on her days at work. I then called and talked to the investigator handling the case and gave him the information I found. I also gave him a good start for his reasonable suspicion for these cases. He went to the hotel and spoke with her, and she finally admitted that her boyfriend had came up with a plan of her keeping tabs on when guests were in and out of the rooms and what vehicles were parked where the cameras could not see them. The cameras were on a timer that switched every 20 seconds. So between the 5 cameras, that was 100 seconds in between that camera starting at location and coming back to it. And she would let her boyfriend know when it would cycle through. They also only picked guests who would have to drive or fly hours back to go to court, and felt without someone pushing the issue, they was in the clear. She also admitted during that time that he was the one breaking into vehicles because they knew where cameras would not catch anybody at. Now, this was all something that the police department could and should have done. However, because police departments right now are currently understaffed, they do not have the time to do what private investigation companies can do. But everything I dug up, I sent to the investigator, and it is all something they will use in court along with her confession, all due to me pointing to one employee who I could show reasonable suspicion for them to talk to. All of this I found just by a couple hours of looking, and some thefts could have been avoided if the first security company could have asked these simple questions: when, where, how, why, when the other firm had this hotel contract. So the point of this, even though you're not a police officer, you are being paid to do a job, be it securing a parking lot or a resort area. This includes completing simple, straightforward investigations. When I was a cop, it was my job to know these questions, and it served me well. Not only did observation and knowing solve a lot of crimes in my area that no one else caught, but it was a game of cat and mouse with me, and I enjoyed it. So when you say that this isn't my job, it may not be your job. But when you lose an account and word gets out that you don't even do something so simple, you'll be losing a lot more accounts, and you'll be losing a lot more money. For some companies out here, losing one account is like losing 100 accounts. I would like to thank you for watching our video today. If you have any comments or questions, please post them below. Thank you.